Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2021-22 season. My name is Dan and Buy, Sell, Keep, Avoid is back for another season. Yes, we are back into Buy, Sell, Keep, Avoid mode, which means the season's upon us. It basically means the season's upon us when Buy, Sell, Keep, Avoid is here. So guys, if you are new around here, Buy, Sell, Keep, Avoid is basically the flagship series on this channel. It's the series, I guess, on this channel that kind of made this channel what it is today, what made it good, what kind of made this channel kind of popular in a way. It was the Buy, Sell, Keep, Avoid series, which we do every single game week, where we identify some different players that we might want to buy, we might want to sell, we might want to keep, we might want to avoid. I'm going to explain a little bit more about the rules in a second. But yeah, we love this series on this channel, we really do. It's always been a favourite. Really excited to get going with a whole new season of it. And yeah, we're going to have some spicy, controversial picks as always in this video. Yeah, and we're going to start off strong, I think, in the new season. So guys, if you're hyped about Buy, Sell, Keep, Avoid being back for the 2021-22 season, please do leave a like. And if you're new around here and you want to see this kind of content every single week, please do subscribe as well. I'll try my best to make sure you don't regret it. So before we go on to the Buy, Sell, Keep, and Avoid, a quick word from our sponsor today. And it wouldn't be a Buy, Sell, Keep, Avoid video without the sponsorship of One Football. Once again, they're back. They're back sponsoring the Buy, Sell, Keep, Avoid series. So for those of you who don't know what One Football is, it's a great app and website for all things football. I personally use the One Football mobile app to check up on the scores, the lineups for those Premier League games that I'm not necessarily watching. So for example, this year, a lot of the Premier League games are occurring at the same time, like multiple 3 o'clock kickoffs that if you're in the UK, you can't even watch them. So if you want to check out the lineups, the scores and stuff like that of games that you can't watch, the One Football app is just perfect for that. It's also a great resource for football. You know, there's plenty of articles on there and all kinds of other stuff, transfer news, things like that, which is really important right now. So yeah, if you'd like to start debating football, do check out the link in the top of the description and see for yourself. It's completely free, of course. So, the rules of Buy, Sell, Keep, Avoid are: buys are players you probably don't have but should consider bringing into your teams. Sells are players you probably have but should consider removing from your teams. Keeps are players you probably have and should keep within your teams. And finally, avoids are players you probably don't have but you might be thinking about getting them in. But I think that you should actually avoid these players as well. So we're going to start off with some buys and we're going to move on to some avoids all the way through. 2 of each. Let's go. So our first buy of the new season is Mason Greenwood. So this is a really interesting one. He's owned by 30% of FPL experts, yet only 5% of FPL managers overall. So that difference tells you immediately that he's potentially a bit of a hidden gem for the start of the season. So when he's in the team and playing regularly, Greenwood is arguably the best Manchester United player to have in your team, kind of on the same level as Bruno. So from Gameweek 25 onwards last season, he was Manchester United's highest point scorer, outscoring Bruno, Rashford, Shaw, Cavani, etc, etc. He took 38 shots in these 13 games, only beaten by Bruno's 40. 27 of those shots were in the box, which is over 2 shots in the box per game. He beat his expected goals, as he always does, because of his insane in finishing ability. He really is a great finisher. He scored 6 goals, assisted 1, and all of this despite only playing an average of 63 minutes per game during this time. Now, the issue here is always playtime, which is probably putting off the masses. And so the key with Greenwood is, rather than owning him all the time, is to own him at the right moments in your team. Game week 1 to me is the right moment. We've got Cavani, who hasn't trained all summer, not even in the country yet. Sancho, he hasn't had a pre-season. He's going to be eased into the Manchester United team. We've got Rashford, he's had an operation. He's going to be out for months. We've got Martial, he's hardly played any football over the past 6 months, you know. So it does seem like Greenwood is the only senior attacker ready to go at Manchester United, which means, since there isn't much choice, Greenwood has to get game time, which is perfect because when he plays, he gets such big point scores. He gets those hauls. He gets points totals on the same kind of level as those real premium players. So it's so nice to have him when he's playing. So that's why I will definitely be having him, and I think you guys should too. So the next buy is Wilson, the overlooked striker. We've had a look at so many strikers over the summer. I'm sure you guys have as well. Wilson, I feel like, is the one who is getting overlooked, which, to be fair, I do understand given how much conflicting news there's been about his injury status, but I can confirm that he is going to be ready to start in game week 1. If we're looking at players who are involved in the most goals for their teams, then we really need to look no further than Wilson. If Newcastle score, there's a 50-50 chance that Wilson will be involved. This makes Wilson a bonus points magnet. He only needs to get one goal, and often immediately he's going to be on 8-9 points already. Add another assist or a goal to that, and he's hauling. He's getting those huge points totals, and for that reason, he has an incredibly high points per game stat for last season. And I know a lot of people say to pick Antonio whenever he's fit, but I actually think Wilson, when fit, is still genuinely the better option because he is that superstar of Newcastle. The mood and the energy at Newcastle was very, very good at the end of last season when they had a very strong finish to the season, in part due to new coaching. And from what I've read, the energy is still very much there around the camp, and Newcastle are hoping to have a really nice, strong start to the season with some very decent fixtures. They do have some very good fixtures, starting with West Ham, which I know is red on the FPL app, but, you know, West Ham do like to concede a few goals. Wilson could definitely score in this game. Wilson's going to be leading the line, and I think he's going to do really well, certainly at the beginning of the season, whilst he is fit. Get him while he's hot. On to some sales, and this is where we've become a little less popular, but guys, this is what this series is all about. It's about challenging our immediate views and trying to think a little bit more in depth about certain players. So yes, you can see on screen right now, Grealish. He's kind of become the superstar over the last year. His move to Man City has made him even more interesting to all of us. Everyone loves Grealish, but does that make him a good FPL pick? And this is always the question, guys. Does it make him a good FPL pick? Well, for 8 million, not really for me. Certainly not so good that he should be the 9th most popular player in the game with over a quarter of FPL managers owning him. In FPL terms, Grealish should only really be an interesting differential at very best. And among pro FPL players, there are very, very few people who actually have Grealish in their teams. And a lot of this is due to the way he's expected to be deployed at Manchester City. So, according to reports, Grealish has signed to play in a number 8 role. Long term, we're going to see a midfield 3 of Rodri holding Grealish on the left and KDB on the right, just ahead of Rodri, the holding midfielder. Grealish is also going to rotate a little bit with Gundogan in this slot, depending on who the opposition is. Now, to me, this is a little bit disappointing. We want to see Grealish in those real tight attacking spots on the wing, cutting in. But instead, it looks like he's only going to be like the second best midfielder in a midfield 3. Now, KDB is going to be the slightly more creative, slightly more talismanic player in that midfield 3. Now, I'm not saying Grealish is not going to thrive there, but it is going to limit his FPL points to a degree, I do think. It feels like players like KDB, Mahrez, Sterling, whoever ends up as a striker this season, they're all going to outscore Grealish in FPL terms. So like I said, an interesting differential, perhaps a little further down the line when we know a little bit about how he's going to play. But aside from being a romantic FPL pick, I just don't really think we should be building our teams around him. The next sell is Mason Mount. Champions of Europe, yes, but under Tuchel, Chelsea are not particularly known to score a lot of goals. Lukaku, when he comes into the first 11, he might improve that, but even so, there are only so many goals that can be scored in this miserable run of fixtures that Chelsea have been pretty much cursed with. So after the Crystal Palace game, Chelsea play Arsenal, Liverpool, Villa, Spurs, and then Man City in what might be the most spiteful run of fixtures that any team has early on in the season. After that, the fixtures do look pretty amazing for Chelsea, but in that the first stretch of 6 games, how many goals are actually going to be scored by Chelsea? 7, 8 goals tops kind of thing. And from there, how many goals do you think Mount is going to be scoring? With Lukaku in the team, especially, Lukaku is going to become this focal point, right? Is Mount going to score 1 or 2 goals tops in his first 6 games, maybe with a couple of assists too? If that's the best case scenario, then I do think you can do a lot better for 7.5 million. You've got Greenwood, Jota, Harvey Barnes, players with far better fixtures. They have far higher ceilings as well. These are players who are known for their monster hauls in the past. And I just feel like they're all better options at the same price or slightly less price as well. Better fixtures, got more points potential there. I don't know, I just much prefer so many other players to Mount in this initial run of fixtures. And I know Chelsea fans, you're going to want to back your boy. But objectively, as neutral FPL managers, this just probably is not the one. And I think you should remove him from your teams and maybe reconsider bringing him in sort of game week 7 onwards. On to some keeps, and I've got Salah for you first. Now, I wanted to take this as a final opportunity to make sure all of you guys watching this video have Salah in your teams. I've seen some people trying to be a bit smart, saying things like, well, Salah ended up last season pretty poorly, and he hasn't scored a lot in pre-season friendlies. Yeah, okay, Salah didn't score in any of Liverpool's pre-season friendlies last season either, but he ended up scoring a hat-trick in Gameweek 1, so, don't pay too much attention to pre-season. That's all I'm going to say. I was just speaking to a fellow FPL manager with a really great history in the game, who tried to be a little bit clever last year, and he started the season without Salah, and he said, my season was over before it even started. So this is kind of situation. If Salah bangs in game week 1 or 2 and you don't have him, you will be playing catch up for months before you even catch up with the crowd. It can be so damaging. So it's really not worth the risk. Even if you truly believe someone like Mane might slightly outscore him, for example, it's just not really worth doing it. So with the deadline fast approaching and 50% of total FPL teams still without Salah, this is my final plea to you guys. Keep Salah in your fantasy teams. My next keep is Sanchez. Now, there's a reason why Sanchez is the goalkeeper of choice of 2/3 of expert FPL teams. I'm going to be talking a lot about the expert FPL teams because the couple of videos I've made in the last couple of days, they were just so useful, weren't they? But yeah, Sanchez, he's an insane budget pick at 4.5 million. He plays in one of last season's best defences. Brighton are a team that concedes very few big chances, and they went on some great clean sheet streaks last year. They really did. And Brighton also have amazing fixtures all the way up until game week 9. So another clean sheet streak could be on the very close horizon for this talented young goalkeeper. Remember, he's so talented that he was selected by Spain for the Euros. So he's only going to get better as well. I've seen a lot of people trying to overthink this one. I myself have at times, a couple of weeks ago, kind of thought, well, let's have a look. Let's try it out with some different goalkeepers, see what we can do here. But I really think it's probably best to try and keep things simple here and keep Sanchez. Let's finish off with some avoids. Start you off with Edinson Cavani. Now, hopefully, you guys won't need too much convincing here, but Cavani is a very popular Game Week 1 pick. Mostly because he's one of the best strikers in the league, plays for a good team, plenty of creativity around him, and he's got some amazing fixtures to start off the season. This sounds all really amazing, right? But, unfortunately, some things are often too good to be true, and Edinson Cavani, he's not even in the country yet. This is kind of the big thing. He is not in England yet. He's not in Manchester yet. He is still in Uruguay as I record this video. He hasn't trained with the squad. He hasn't taken part in any friendlies. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has heavily implied that he will not be playing against Leeds, which to me seems kind of obvious. If he's not in the country, how can he play against Leeds anyway? I mean, the Leeds game isn't in just a few days. He's not even in Manchester. I think it's probably safe to say Cavani is not going to be playing in Game Week 1 and possibly not even in the game after that either. So all in all, Cavani is going to be just a complete waste of a slot in your team. You can't waste 8.5 million on a player who may not play for weeks. If you do want Cavani for later, just transferring him in later. In the meantime, there are plenty of other strikers who can score you a lovely amount of points who you could eventually move on to replace with Cavani. Boom, there we go. And my final avoid is Nacho. I'm really kind of worried about this Nacho pick. Leicester are looking to play with a 4-2-3-1 formation, which means there's only one spot for a striker. Jamie Vardy, he's likely to be first choice. Patson Daka has just signed for a lot of money, so he's kind of there to be Jamie Vardy's long-term successor. So where does Kelechi Iheanacho fit in? Occasional starts, playing off the bench for regular one-pointers in FPL, playing out of position on the wing where we don't really want him. As much as I love Kelechi in the form that he showed at the end of last season, the current situation just doesn't fill me with confidence. And if Brendan Rodgers is not going to back him, then how can we back him? I want to see some evidence that Iheanacho is a good pick once again before he goes anywhere near my team. And until that happens, I think it's best to just go for someone safer like, Ings, Antonio, Wilson. So unfortunately, this has to go down as an avoid. So to summarise, let's not go too crazy with our Game Week 1 teams. It's best to be a little bit safe and then adapt, because otherwise there's a 9 in 10 chance you're going to get it totally wrong and end up playing catch up to a degree. Greenwood and Wilson, I do think are going to be those kind of players that provide you with that much needed spice. So if you want your team to be a little bit different from your mates, your colleagues, your co-workers, whatever, Wilson, Greenwood, these are the kind of players that I really like the look of for that spice. And I know it's tough, but try and avoid the minefield of players who have limited opportunities to play at the beginning of the season. You know, players who lacked a proper pre-season, for example, like your Cavani's and your Sanchos, players who we know are rotation, like heavy rotation risks right away, like your Nachos. Kind of just try and avoid those players a little bit, and also try and look at the fixtures to a degree. Yeah, there's so much to think about. I know I'm going to try and help you all along the way, but hopefully this video has been at least a little bit helpful in serving that purpose. So there we have it. Game Week 1's buy, sell, keep, avoid video is complete. Hopefully, buy, sell, keep, avoid only kind of works as a concept prior to Game Week 1. After Game Week 1, when we do Game Week 2, buy, sell, keep, avoid, things will start to make a lot more sense as we kind of look at the transfer trends a little bit, but there is no transfer trends before the season starts. So yeah, this series is only going to get better. Hopefully you are looking forward to it. Please like the video if you did enjoy what you saw today, and of course subscribe if you want this kind of video every single week, because that's what we're going to be giving to you. Aside from that, guys, I just want to say thank you for watching. The mini league link is in the description if you want to join the mini league and have some fun with that. I'm on Twitter if you want to follow me there, Instagram at FPL just go find me. I'm sure it won't be too difficult. But aside from that, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later, mates. Bye bye.